And Amanda, we're about ready to go live on YouTube, just so you know, in about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Are we recording this
Yes, it gets recorded.
on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's on our Employee Council website page.
Okay, are we ready to go, Shauna?
We are ready.
All right. Good afternoon to everyone. Hello there, Employee Council family. So glad that you could make it today. That we are down to our second to last Employee Council meeting of the year. And right now I see about 18 attendees out of our 40. So we'll just keep an eye out and hope that other individuals will be able to join us as our meeting continues on. Again, I hope that you are all doing well as we head into the home stretch of our school year, and know that we will have opportunity at the end just to do a little check-in and see how you're all doing, and if there are any immediate needs that you have or needs in the system that we can continue to support. But without further ado, it is my honor to turn this conversation over to our wonderful superintendent, Dr. Tucker. Dr. Tucker, thanks for joining us. Oh, I think you have to unmute. Okay, sir, ready to
We're all
go.
set.
Yep.
Amanda, thank you for the invitation to share a few words. And as always, as a matter of fact, to join in Employee Council, to really hear, and as we were before COVID-19, to have face-to-face conversations with our colleagues across the district relative to some of the things that we are grappling, as well as discussing some of the successes we're experiencing in the district. I'll start my comments off with the poem, more or less a quote, I should say. I thought about creating a poem for National Teacher Appreciation Week, and I don't think I'm quite ready to roll it out right now, but I do have a quote that I do want to share with you, and I hope from this quote, Amanda and our colleagues, educators who comprise the Employee Council, that I can create a poem that's fitting for the heroic work that our colleagues do each day. And some of you may have heard of this quote, you're probably familiar with it, and it's, "Out of the public school grows the greatness of a nation." And I think we're seeing that right now as in-person instruction came to a halt in our district and across this country about 6 or 7 weeks ago. Millions of families, millions of citizens realized that the work that teachers and educators, when I say educators, I'm speaking about folks of all different job classifications. When I say teachers, I'm talking about our colleagues who are providing instruction in the classroom. But our families, millions of families across America, they came to the realization that the work educators do, the work in particular of classroom teachers, is as important as our colleagues in the medical profession, as important as our heroic colleagues, again, who are on the front line as first responders. And so, out of this tragedy has come this bit of irony here in terms of looking at what the true work of teachers do. Like an eagle, our educators, our staff members here have risen over and beyond what is required of you to do. I have had a conversation with one of our engineering teachers at Mountain Vista High School. And our engineering teachers across the district have created nearly 400 face shields for our folks in the medical profession, nearly 400 in this 6 weeks period. And they are now creating intubation boxes to help our physicians and our nurses as they intubate patients who are in the ER emergency room or who are getting prepped to get this intubation. And so our folks are just doing a tremendous job, and we're helping out our first responders. And so what a great service to our district, and what a great service to our community. And so as we look on this full week of National Teacher Appreciation Day, I want to thank our teachers, our educators, on behalf of our entire community, on behalf of our board, our business folks, our religious community, for the outstanding work that you do each and every day to improve and save the lives of our children. So again, thank you. And your perseverance during this challenging time is nothing but remarkable. And it certainly humbles me, and it continues to bring a great deal of pride to serve as your superintendent. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tucker. As always, we love it when you can come by Employee Council and share updates and share any important messages with us. So right now I see around 25 attendees for Employee Council from each of our employee groups. So thank you everyone for joining us. Maybe at some point we'll transition so that we can see all of your great faces. So stay tuned for that information. Next on our agenda, which you should all have in your meeting link, is just revisiting any end of year communication information and allowing some opportunity for discussion and any questions that you may have. So recently, Dr. Tucker sent out a wonderful message on what end of year would look like in our schools. And we are so pleased to have one of our cabinet members, Marlena Gross Taylor, here to share updates. So Marlena, welcome.
Hey guys, thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Employee Council, for having me. Can you hear me okay? I just want to make sure.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So we are, of course, planning end of year, and an email was sent out to all staff and all families. And I just wanted to let particularly this group know that we are working out the details that your principals will be sharing with you and with the parents and students of your respective schools on how we're going to collect things like any textbooks or library books or devices, those kinds of things from students. And then also how we're going to distribute whatever students might have left in their lockers or in their cubbies, whatever the case might be, how we're going to distribute that back to families and parents. So more to come, definitely from your principals. And of course, we're going to make sure we do this where we are all COVID safe and following the guidelines from our health department and government officials, so we can minimize any face-to-face contact as much as possible, while still allowing our kids to get their things and for us to retrieve those items and others that I mentioned. So just look forward to getting that communication from your principals sometime this week. We're working out those details, and also allowing teachers to have a modified checkout process. Or if teachers, we know we have some teachers that we are that are retiring or might be moving on to a different district or something like that. So we'll have those plans in place too. So those teachers can make sure they can clean out their classrooms and get those last minute things. So more to come from your principals, but I would love to open it up if anyone has any pressing concerns or questions of the sort. I'm happy to answer those, or definitely add that to our list as we plan with principals.
So employee council members, this is your chance to ask any questions that you may have about this or share of any things for us to consider and think about as we continue to communicate out in the system. So don't forget to use the hand raise option so that we can unmute you and hear your great, great voice. What questions are out there? Gonna give it just a moment of time. There we go. I see one. Mary Jo. I'm sorry, Mary Joy. Go ahead. I think you are unmuted. Are you there, Shauna? I'm hitting unmute.
Mute.
There we go. I think you're there, Mary Joy.
Okay. I miss seeing everybody at these meetings. I hope everybody's doing well.
Thank you. Welcome.
I just had, there's been, with all online information that's been going on, I've had a couple teachers reach out to me because obviously there's been a lot of surveys that have been floating, and we are pretty much pros in employee council with our surveys.
Yes.
And one of the things that we've prided ourselves on is if an individual responds to a survey, that it's basically, you know, their name isn't going to be out there. They'll have their anonymity, and that way we'll get good, honest information. Several teachers have approached me, and they were concerned about, they've received across their schools surveys that were supposed to be anonymous in response, and other teachers who are on different boards have reached out to them after the surveys were done and wanted to know how they could support them more in the responses that they gave on the surveys. And, you know, I told these were very young teachers, and I said, honestly, we pride ourselves in being able to get as objective view as possible, and that I would share that with employee council, because several of the teachers said, should I respond to the surveys that are shared with me from my school anymore? And I tried to ease their concern and said, yes, please, because data is very important and good data is extremely important. And I just wanted to share other than that, everything I think with the situation we're in has been very smooth, but I wanted to know if that's been a concern for anyone else, or if I could just raise a little flag that if there's a way we can let people know that if a survey goes out, and again, it was not an employee council survey, but if it's going to go out, if we could make sure that a person's right to speak is going to be honored, and especially if it's supposed to be an anonymous response, that's as far as it goes. That's all.
Thank you, Mary Joy, for bringing that. I think what you were referring to earlier is it's more of a building generated or a building based survey sent out.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for that.
You know, there's such young teachers that it kind of shocked them, it surprised them, and so I wanted to share that.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Just a couple things regarding surveys. So as you know, surveys have different options or different purposes, different reasons for gathering feedback. What I can say is, regardless, we are in a system that values the voices of our employees. And so as we think about our board end statements, as we think of who we are in terms of our strategic plan, and just in our belief as a district, we really do value multiple opportunities for employee voices to be heard. And so there are times in which we issue anonymous surveys, which you'll most often see those from the district level, just to ensure that we are hearing the various voices of the system. However, there might be times, and without knowing the nuances of this particular situation, there may be times in which there is a need to have some kind of record of response. I wish I could help clarify that. Matt Reynolds, any other information relative to surveys and survey implementation that might be helpful in this situation? While we see if our friend Matt is here, again, I just want to emphasize that we value all voices to be heard. So the bottom line is we want to make sure that we are giving multiple opportunities for thoughts to be valued and honored in the system.
Good
Matt
evening, Amanda. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yes, yes.
Perfect. That's a great question. I would always go back to trying to identify what the source of the information and when the survey is. And if those teachers come with questions regarding the survey, I would direct them back to the source of wherever the survey is to find out what the purpose is. Many times those surveys, as you indicated, are anonymous. Take like the TLCC survey. That's totally anonymous. There are other times that they're not, but I would direct them back to the source to find out what the purpose of the survey is and why they're gathering that information.
Thank you, Matt. Mary Joy, did that help you a little bit?
That very much did, because that's the one thing these teachers did not do, is go directly to the source. And I think that's the best guidance. The individual who asked if they could support them, it was a little bit of a surprise that the information was even there for this individual, but I will direct them back to the source. That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Great to hear your voice.
Thank you.
So in terms of end of year information, again, we have multiple district leaders, including Marlena Gross Taylor, available to answer questions or consider any needs or things that you want us to be thinking about. Kim. Welcome, Kim.
Hello. Because we're talking about the end of year communication, and Marlene, I know you mentioned getting information from our principals, and it's my understanding that they'll be meeting again with all of you wonderful folks tomorrow. Some of the feedback I'm getting from my classroom teachers at an elementary level is just their strong desire to be able to be the ones in their classroom going through the materials that are there to determine what goes to each student, to separate what stays with them as teacher-owned materials, what stays at the school-owned materials, and then collect all the various items that belong to each student that are spread around the room, because many of our classrooms don't have individual desks. And so I think that's feedback that you guys have probably already heard, but because this is employee council, I thought I'd be remiss if I didn't speak for the employees that I've talked to.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
for that. Yeah, we definitely have that down, and we feel good that we have a plan to help address that. So thank you for that. And as always too, we have to have a plan for, for staff members that might find themselves, in that vulnerable category. So we're working on lots of contingency plans. So if someone does fall in that category, they're able to still, the school is able to still get those kids their items and, work with a principal to make sure we can get whatever the teacher might need, to them. So thank you for that. That's very true.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Kim,
Thank you.
sure, and Kim and our folks out there will add that our guidelines are based upon recommendations from our local healthcare officials, as well as the CDC. And as you can imagine, these guidelines center around social and physical distancing, and we still need to ensure that we're maintaining those requirements to keep staff members safe as well, especially our vulnerable staff members.
Thank you, Dr. Tucker.
Absolutely. Appreciate you guys thinking about that.
Thank you, Kim. Great to hear your voice. What other questions are out there or needs or things for us to consider in our end of year planning? Okay. Well, if something should come up, please do let us know. So next, we have a lot of special guests this evening. Really happy to have everyone here and sharing updates. Matt Reynolds spoke earlier, and he is going to come back and share with us information regarding evaluation. So previously, we have sent out a district communication regarding evaluation processes for the end of the year. And Matt, did you want to share any updates or reiterate any information? And then we'll, of course, allow space for feedback from our members.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank all of you for giving me this opportunity to talk, and also thank you for serving on our employee council. You guys are wonderful in volunteering your time to provide us feedback and your insights. We do have an update on the evaluation process for this year in response to Governor Polis's April 1st executive order, in which he suspended the state law requirements, specifically around the frequency and duration of employee performance evaluation for licensed personnel. Douglas County School District suspended all evaluations, not just those for licensed teachers for the 1920 school year. Rather than just suspend licensed employee evaluation, DCSD chose to suspend all evaluations to ensure that all employees are treated fairly and equitably. We sent this information out in a communication on April 10th, not just an email, but also with some frequently asked questions for different employee groups. So that was sent out a while ago, and we have some future work, which is really where I want to spend the majority of the time tonight, but I'm open to answer questions. So looking forward to evaluations for 2020, 2021, our plan is to resume evaluations in the fall. However, that's pending updates from CDE and any other legislative changes that may come up. But our plan is to resume those evaluations back in the fall. Another thing that's going to be worked on this year, specifically in licensed evaluation, is our District Accountability Committee, which in Douglas County serves as our evaluation council. We'll be discussing the implications of the pause on both state assessments and accountability for this upcoming year, and how that impacts educator evaluation. With Site 6, we currently use school performance frameworks as a collective attribute. There's going to be conversations about what that looks like for next year. And the DAC has really two separate sets of responsibilities there. One is as the evaluation council to make sure that the tool that we use and the process that we use are fair, effective, credible, and have a professional quality. But they also have their own authorities and powers to provide input and recommendations on an advisory basis concerning the assessments that are used for the purpose of evaluation. So some of that work will be into next year, where they're going to, as part of their accountability duties, we'll be examining what the impact of the pause in both state assessment and school accountability, because there are no school performance frameworks going to be issued. We're going to introduce that topic tomorrow at the district accountability meeting tomorrow night, and we'll have a timeline set forth to continue to work on accountability and assessment with the District Accountability Committee next year. In the fall, our Board of Education will provide the District Accountability Committee with their priorities for the year. And from that list, we'll know what steps are going to be taken and when. So, Amanda, with that, I'm going to turn it over and allow for questions if there are any.
Thank you, Matt. What thoughts do you have out there? What questions about evaluation or school accountability? You can hit *9 or do the hand raise.
Amanda, while our folks are ready to chime in, I would like for Matt to talk about the importance of the data points in evaluations and not having student growth scores and students' academic scores for this year, as well as not being able to do evaluations. I've received several personal emails from our teaching colleagues wanting to understand why we're putting a pause on evaluations, even if certain staff members believe that this could be the year for them to come off the probationary status. And again, I'll ask Matt to talk about, one, the importance of scores in being a part of the total evaluation. And in my opinion, and more importantly, the evaluations which are absent, and we've not been in session in 6 weeks. So Matt, can you address that while our staff members are getting ready to raise some more salient questions and probably personal questions relative to evaluations?
Perfect. Outstanding question. This has been a topic of conversation, as you said, that some people have sent out emails regarding this. So when you're thinking of our evaluation timeline, typically evaluations are finalized May 1st. And so with the remote learning starting immediately following the third quarter, many of our staff had not had the data in order for the 50% of their evaluation to get completed. We also have certain staff members in our buildings who had not completed the requisite number of observations that are needed to close a formal evaluation. So in order for us to be able to close and get a summative rating to complete the evaluation, there's a lot of information, a lot of data that was missing from most of our staff that's out in our system, either in terms of the formal evaluations, the conferences, and also the student data that goes in and represents 50% of the evaluation. On the classified admin ProTech side as well, their evaluation close is also towards that May timeframe. So most folks in our system had not gotten to a position to be able to close their evaluation. And with changing into remote learning and remote working, you were going to change the environment which somebody was going to be able to conduct an observation, which is another reason why we decided to pause and suspend all evaluations.
Thank you. Any questions from our employee council members? Vera. Hi there, Vera.
So I'm a mild moderate science teacher, and we've always struggled with students who have disabilities and the tests and the test results. We have numerous SOAR students who we're just happy if they even show up to school. I mean, that's their goal, to show up, let alone give them a test at the beginning of the year and a test at the end of the year. Are they addressing that at all?
Are you referring into your own tests that you create internally or state defined tests?
So internally. So like we have teachers that are case managers and they teach history, or I'm a teacher and I teach science, but I'm a case manager. And so sometimes we've been told, just give them a regular science test at the beginning of the year, give them a science test at the end of the year. And then others are saying, well, just give them a skills-based test. So what are you guys saying needs to be done with that?
Wonderful question. That's a great question to have. Within our system, you have flexibility to be able to include assessment data into your evaluation. And I always start with just having a conversation that the evaluatee and the evaluator should have a conversation regarding what data is meaningful for the work that they're doing with kids. And to start with that conversation to say, what information do we want to have on kids? What is important for us to know about the students and what they're learning? And start with that question, and the data will follow. We would be more than happy to partner with you and your school and your evaluator to brainstorm ideas to come up with data that's more meaningful for you and your students. But that conversation starts with you and your evaluator.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, Vera, for that. We appreciate it. Who else has questions about evaluation? Okay. Thank you so much. Well, if anything should come up, please don't hesitate to let us know. This is that time to be able to share. So we just have some other just FYIs and reminders in our agenda for the remainder of the time, and then we'll open it up to see what needs you have and or what needs are out there in the system that's important that we're aware of. We do have a virtual retirement celebration coming up on May 20th, so we're really excited to be able to offer this opportunity to celebrate our wonderful and dedicated employees over the many years that they've been with us. So that's coming up on May 20th, and we'll soon share some additional information out so people can join us and participate. But we'll still try to recapture and honor them in ways that we have in the past. Just so you know, in case any retirees ask of you, we will be sending to them their plaques. So there are the really nice glass plaques for them to save with their name and honoring them. And also we'll be gathering some information about them and celebrating them much like we did in person. So really happy again to have our board join us and our all of the great individuals who'll celebrate along with our cabinet members and superintendent as well. Questions about the retirement celebration at all? Okay. And as shared earlier, May is every day is an important day to honor all of our employees, but May is our month for honoring our teachers and our other staff for the dedication and the work that they do each and every day. And you are part of those strong groups of individuals that are out there making a difference for kids every day. And there are various ways in which you can show honor for someone else and or be honored. And so please take a look at our district website, and I'll have Shauna send out to you the link as well. There's an opportunity for you to nominate an employee, and we are grateful that Kaiser has donated $50 gift cards for drawings to share, and you can nominate a DCSD employee through various social media channels. So Shauna will send that out, and we'll also feature this in our next district-wide communication and insights. And they could be, for the individuals that get nominated, they could be entered into a drawing to win $50 from Kaiser. So that's just one of many ways. And we'll also be featuring various clips and bits of information on our website in ways that we can honor the great people within our system. Also, just know that benefits open enrollment is coming up on May 15th. And since we are meeting on May 18th, that will be up and running when we meet again. And in checking in with our fabulous benefits team and IS team, it will look the same as it did last year. So it should be fairly easy. Happy to share that we have an opportunity for you to look in Workday. We'll be posting instructions. So there'll be a step-by-step process and voiceover video for employees to receive support in terms of background information. We'll load the benefit costing in there for employees once that information is finalized here in the next week or so. And then know that we will also have an option to call in to benefits. So for individuals that do not have access to the online process or need a little bit additional support, we will be there to offer over the phone support for our individuals as well to enroll in their benefits. Any questions about any of that information that I just shared? Or you may also share about any needs that you have in the system or anything that you want us to be aware. Colleen.
Hi, Amanda. Can you hear
Hello.
me?
Yes, great to hear your voice.
Thank you. You too. Well, you've really collected the all-star A+ team tonight. It's really great to know we have so many voices in here tonight. And this question may actually be more pertinent for Marlena Gross Taylor and possibly Dr. Tucker. I'm not sure, but like everybody else, I'm obviously concerned about the fall and concerned about what the opening of the school is going to look like. And like a lot of other people, I've also changed some of my teaching practices, which I think are really going to benefit me in the fall when we go back, hopefully. But I'm wondering, has there been a consideration for the fall to do a hybrid kind of an opening where schools would be opened with the option of participating remotely? Could it be that Douglas County says, yep, we are ready to go. We are ready to open our doors, whether it is on April or August, whatever, or possibly after Labor Day, but then allow parents an opportunity who don't feel comfortable with sending their kids into a large group like that, that we could have them and our students join us remotely. I'm thinking possibly for liability's sake, that might be helpful, but also to allow parents to make that individualized decision, whether it is for COVID or possibly even if we have students I know this past year I had an immune compromised student who needed lots of days to work from home, or parents who are being, kind of stressed about cold and flu season, or even kids who could tune in remotely just because they're at home with a little tummy ache or something like that. And I'm wondering if a hybrid model is being considered.
Hey, this is Marlena. Great question. And gosh, I wish I had a crystal ball and could tell exactly what would happen in the fall. So, because I don't have that, we are planning for multiple contingencies, which will include some type of hybrid model. So, I would just suggest and encourage that everyone watch the upcoming board meeting, because Dr. Tucker will be sharing details of what those possible options could be. We are planning to start in person as we normally do. But of course, due to the virus, we will always, take into account the guidance of our health officials and our government as well, because ultimately we want people to not only be safe, our kids, the staff, we want people to feel safe too, and that's really, really important. So we are making we are developing what those alternatives definitely look like, as well as what additional professional development that we will have to add to our and adjust for the summer months, particularly in July, when many of our PD sessions, start to kick off from July leading up to the beginning of school. So the answer is yes, everything is on the table. We are considering all options and planning for many different contingencies. So definitely stay tuned to the board meeting coming up, and Dr. Tucker will be sharing more details around that.
Colleen and our other colleagues out there, Marlena really summed it up very well. The only thing I'll add is that I cannot foresee school looking differently when we start in the fall. My expectation is that we open very safely in the fall as we've planned. And there are quite a few benefits in that. The number one benefit is that in the event the coronavirus COVID-19 spikes again in the fall and in the winter, and we have to go back to remote learning, we would have already started the year off. So hopefully, we'll start on time and we'll be able to whip this thing. But as Marlena stated, I certainly believe we're really way ahead of the curve in terms of thinking about how to prepare for the beginning of the 2021 school year. But again, I can imagine that some things won't be differently. And we'll talk a little bit more about that on the May 12th board meeting that Marlena alluded to. And obviously, I'm always available, as well as other cabinet members and your building principals are available to answer any questions and take any suggestions that you have. You all, our teachers, are the closest to the classroom. You're the closest to our students. You know some of the unique concerns that our students have. And we certainly value your input, but I expect us to be as prepared as any district in the country for opening up school whenever that occurs. And you'll also continue to hear how the CIPG department is really helping us improve our delivery of remote teaching and learning.
Thank you. Thank you, Colleen. Carrie, how are you, Carrie?
Let's see. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Great to hear your voice.
Thank you. So, well, first, thank you for all your work and opportunities for communication. I feel like that our district is being very respectful about all the differences out there with regard to COVID-19. And I think that speaks highly to our increasing culture and climate. So I just want to express appreciation for that. And then secondly, and then I'll mute, is a question about when we have the opportunity in mid-May to enroll for our benefits. Will we know when we sign up what the possible impact to our pay will be, or will that be something that's decided afterwards? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. So we know that our board has been working very hard reviewing all the information, and we thank you to our finance department and our district leadership for continuing to provide updates regarding our financial situation. We know that coming up at our board meeting, we will know around our benefit selection so that we can ensure that we're loading all of that information correctly and for our employees to make the best decisions possible for themselves and their families. Dr. Tucker, anything else that you wanted to share relative to that information?
Yeah, in addition to what you've shared, Amanda, you know, the board, the finance committee, HR have all come together to present benefits in such a way that one that's going to best serve our community, our school community, our staff, and your families, and at a price that we all can afford. We're also, under Amanda's leadership, looking at working with other school districts to use that leverage with a huge number of districts to find better plans. We also have the benefit of being self-insured, and we have a broker who's working on behalf of the Douglas County School District, as opposed to the insurance companies, to deliver us a very, very good product out there that will compete with any school district across the Front Range. And Amanda, I believe it's been 7 to 8 years where the board has absorbed the cost of premium increases. Am I correct?
You are correct.
So we're really, Carrie, we're really in great shape. And I was going to wait to say this later, but Carrie brought this up in terms of what we're communicating. It's huge that our staff members, our teacher support staff and building level administrators, you are the trust brokers really in your communities. Help us in terms of communicating accurate information out, whether it's benefits, but also, we talked about keeping our folks safe. As you heard and read from our previous communication, that we're going to have our facilities and playgrounds closed until at least until the end of June. And as we get close to that period, we think that we're doing that based upon guidance from our local and state health officials, as well as the CDC. And so if we can all help spread that word together and take care of each other, we're going to beat this thing here sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Any other thoughts, any other needs out there in the system that you want us to be aware of? How can we continue to support the system and all of you? Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. And that is our last item on our agenda. Know that as we look into our next meeting, we will be sharing any other important updates with you. We'll also be giving you an update regarding membership and talking about vacancies and process for fall in order to fill those vacancies. And then know that we're working on finalizing those G policies and our employee guide, which will be updated in tandem, so that we'll bring that back around to our group in a few weeks, if not at the start of next year. Any other thoughts or needs out there before we say goodbye for a week or so? Okay, well, I want to thank you as always for taking the time to participate in this group. We greatly value you as our employee leaders in the system, and we greatly value your voices and your perspectives. And so even though we're not meeting until the 18th, if there's anything that comes up in the meantime, please make sure that you get a hold of me. You may always encourage other individuals to utilize our employee council email that is found on our site, or you can reach out to HR, or that we are very accessible in terms of any of our district leaders as well. And of course, with your supervisors and fabulous principals as well. So just know that all of your voices are very important. And again, thank you for all that you do to serve and support our students and our employees in the system. And again, I and we hope that you continue to take care of yourselves as we head into the last month of school here. So with that, I hope you have a great evening, and we will see you on the 18th. Have a great night.